Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to introduce today's invited speaker. Mr. Garcia served from 2000 until 2008 in the United States Marine Corps. He was deployed to Iraq in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom II from June 2004 until May of 2005. He served in an infantry company, 2nd Battalion, 24th Marines, Echo Company, 3rd Platoon. He achieved the rank of corporal. Mr. Garcia's platoon trained the 507th Iraqi National Guard, the 1st Presidential Iraqi Guard. His unit took part in Operation Phantom Fury, conducting raids, patrols, counter-ambush patrols. His unit was responsible for multiple seizures of small arms and rockets, as well as arresting over 1,000 insurgents. His unit also provided security for the first elections in Iraq. Mr. Garcia was awarded a Purple Heart, a Combat Action Ribbon, and a Global War on Terrorism Medal. He was also awarded a meritorious Mass Citation, which qualified him for his promotion to corporal. In March of 2006, he deployed to Africa in support of Operation Shared Accord, serving as Corporal of Guard, training the host nation's army, as well as providing humanitarian aid to the citizens of Niger. Currently, Mr. Garcia is a member of the Crete Police Department, earning the rank of sergeant. He's been here 17 years. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Juan Garcia.
Get the short version of the podium. I'd like to thank everyone for showing up today to honor the service men and women who paid the ultimate sacrifice. It took me some time to get comfortable to talk about this day and some of the exploits that my unit did. It's very, very personal to me. Recently, I realized that I was not honoring fallen Marines by keeping my mouth shut. So this year I was asked, and I chose to, at my best, attempt to share their story so we can celebrate their lives. I joined the Marine Corps right after high school. I believe it was the day after graduation. I walked in the recruiter's office, went straight to the Marine recruiter and said, I want to sign up for the infantry. He looked at me with a weird look on his face, because I guess nobody does that. Went to boot camp and did all that. Checked into my unit, 2nd Battalion, 24th Marines. It's a reserve unit in Chicago on Foster Avenue. I met probably the most best guys that would turn into my brothers ever in my life. Some solid guys, and if any one of them called me up right now and said, hey, Garcia, I need your help with this, or going through a tough time, I would drop what I'm doing and go and help them. That's something that we share together. I'm still in contact with some. Some of them kind of faded off to do their own thing. So a little quick background about the Chicago Reserve Unit. Were founded in 1922. And November of 1940, they were mobilized for World War II, where they participated. They saw a lot of fighting and landed in Iwo Jima, where they fought for 35 days. Ultimately, they secured the island. They were then mobilized, where they came home, and then they were mobilized, participated in the Korean War. In November 30th of 1990, they participated in Operation Desert Shield and later Operation Desert Storm. More recently is kind of where I came into play. I want to give you a quick background of me and my unit before I get to why I'm really here. June of 2004, I was mobilized for Operation Iraqi Freedom 2, the sequel. We went to California and did a build-up and did some training, and we were sent to a little place called Mahmadiyah, Iraq. We were a reserve unit, we weren't active, so we didn't know what to expect. But we knew that brave men and women had went before us and done the job that we were going to be asked to do. We had excellent leadership, equipment was iffy, the food really wasn't that great. Little to my knowledge, we were being sent to what was called the Triangle of Death. I didn't know that until probably about a month into it, because for those of you that have done anything in the government, you find out that they don't like to tell you everything. They just tell you to go over there and do that, and don't give you the reason. We're in the northern Babel province. We were engaged in intense combat operations against the insurgency. We were a task force unit. They split up my platoon. The other guys, they assisted with the EOD guys and did security. Some other guys helped the Iraqi police train. And that was our main mission there, was to train the Iraqi army so they can get up on their own 2 feet and fight their own war in their own country, and we can go home. We did participate in Operation Phantom Fury. That was the Fallujah fight. We were not in Fallujah. We had a mission probably about 20 miles away that assisted the fight in Fallujah. Because of our battalion commander, Colonel Mark Smith, and the leadership that we had, got a nickname, the Mad Ghost, from the insurgency. They were convinced that we had the Israeli army with us. And at the time, I wish we did not. It was a little reserve unit, 1,000 Marines, doing our job in this little area of operation. We could have only done it with the leadership and guidance of Colonel Mark A. Smith. Our unit was responsible for multiple weapon seizures. That's significant because during the first push, certain military elements found caches of weapons, radioed it to the higher, and the Pentagon said, nah, keep going to Baghdad, leave the weapons there. Fortunately, that left a ginormous weapon cache for the insurgency, which was not planned at the time. There were so many weapons that we were doing daily seizures at an enormous rate. We were in a country that had the 4th largest army. And after the fall, they had buried everything and hid everything. We had our work cut out for us. Our unit was responsible for arresting over 1,000 insurgents with a very high conviction rate. Our unit was, like I said, just a reserve unit, but we were thrown in the mix and dealt with a specific card, and we just had to go with it. We were not Special Forces, we were not Delta, or anything like that. We were part-time Marines, called to active duty. We had a job to do. Our unit was unique because there were a lot of police officers, engineers, teachers, nurses, everyday people, just like you and me. We brought those unique skills to the table, and it made it very effective against the fight for the insurgency there. After Iraq, I did go to Africa in 2006 with Operation Shared Accord. It's a humanitarian thing, passed out vitamins and everything to the host nation, trained their guys a little bit too. I want to say that the Marines that I served with did an outstanding job. We would have never accomplished what we did if it weren't for them. Despite the phenomenal job we did, there was a price that we paid. We lost 13 Marines. 13 Marines did not make it back. They were brothers, husbands, grandchildren. The last time they saw their family was a hug and a kiss in Chicago, and a half promise that they would come back. Today means something different to me than it ever did. Before I joined the service, Memorial Day was just the beginning of summer. We're gonna go camping, swimming, have some parties. And I took it for granted. When I got home, I realized there was a lot that I was taking for granted. And it took a couple years, but eventually it changed me. Taking a shower in your own shower is a huge benefit to living in this country. Standing here in mass gathering without having to worry about someone with a car bomb coming up and blowing everybody up is a huge benefit. Being able to go to sleep in my own bed and not having to have someone stand fire watch or wake up in the middle of the night because they're lobbing mortars at your base is a huge relief. I only had one deployment. I was gone for 7 months, but in that 7 months I learned a lot. I learned a lot about life and death. I learned a lot about myself and some of the Marines that I was with. What Memorial Day means to me now is more important than it ever did when I was younger. Every day I think about the Marines that did not come back. I think about the 88 Marines who got wounded in my unit, received the Purple Heart. And I feel bad for their families, because at least twice a year, possibly 3, they're almost forced to remember their loved one. That might sound bad. 3 times a year, they can't help but remember their loved one, which is a good thing. But I feel bad for the pain that they carry losing someone who's in their 20s or 18 or 19. Told Andy I'd try to stick to my script and start rambling. I'm going to read off the names of the 13 Marines that we lost. They were really good guys. I knew one of them. The rest of them I served with, I ran into them every once in a while. It's 1,000, pretty much it's 1,000 people. I didn't learn everybody's names. We were different units. We did different jobs. In California, our very first loss was actually in training. Sergeant Matthew S. Adams died July 25th, 2004 in a Humvee accident. I was nearby. I saw the commotion. I didn't know what was going on. We were training. Later on, we find out he passed away in his Humvee that had rolled over. It was an accident. When that happened, I remembered thinking, we haven't even deployed to this hostile country, and we're losing Marines. What are we going to get ourselves into? Lance Corporal Daniel R. Wyatt. It's KIA October 12th, 2004 in U.S.M.C, Iraq. Lance Corporal Shane O'Donnell, KIA November 8th, 2004, U.S.M.C. Corporal Robert Warrens, KIA November 8th, 2004, Lutafia. Lance Corporal Brandon Ramming, November 8th, 2004, Lutafia. Corporal Nathaniel Hammond, KIA, November 8th, 2004, Yusufia. Corporal Peter Giannopoulos, KIA, November 11th, 2004. I knew this Marine. This guy was a Marine's Marine, young kid. Knew his stuff. He was a great athlete, varsity player at his high school. I believe it was hockey. He was a merit scholar. Went to Purdue University. I feel bad, I don't remember what he was majoring in. His parents signed a waiver for him when he was 17 so he could join the Marine Corps. He wanted to transfer to Northwestern, but ultimately there was another plan for him. He was called to heaven November 11th, 2004. I remember that day because we were at the Iraqi National Compound that day. We were training that army. And we heard the radio start going off. We knew it was his unit. Most of our Marines in my unit knew Corporal, we call him Corporal G. Corporal G was. We started getting in our Humvees and waiting word to go. For some reason it took a little bit longer than I thought it should have. By the time we got there, his unit was still engaged in the enemy. I remember looking up and seeing a helicopter fly off. I didn't know who was in it. I didn't know why it flew off. I was hoping that somebody had just got injured and not dead. And I continued to do my job with the Marines that were with me. It wasn't until later that I found out that our friend Corporal G was on that Black Hawk. The guilt that followed me for that lasted years. We've gotten there sooner. We could have neutralized the threat, and maybe Corporal G would be home. Maybe he would have went to Northwestern. Maybe he would have been an engineer and built something great or saved more lives. Unfortunately, that was not his destiny that day. That's the day that he was called to heaven. He was 22 years old when he passed. He was laid to rest at St. Michael the Archangel Catholic Cemetery in Palatine. When a Marine passes, they fly the remains home for their family to bury. Part of not getting closure with that is I was unable to attend that ceremony because I was still in country. I'll always remember him and what he did, as well as the rest of the Marines. Moving on, Corporal Brian Prenning, KIA, November 12th, 2004 in U.S.M.C. PFC Ryan Cantifo, November 25th, 2004, U.S.M.C. Lance Corporal Richard Warner, KIA, December 13th, 2004, U.S.M.C. Brent Roman, KIA, December 13th, 2004, U.S.M.C. Travis Wichlech, February 5th, 2004, Mahmoud Ramez, Iraq. Lance Corporal Andrew Nowacki, KIA, February 26, 2004. I remember every time these Marines passed. Sometimes they would wait a day or two to tell us. We didn't find out through what we call the Lance Corporal Underground. Sometimes they would wait because they wanted us to keep our head straight and our head in the mission, and sometimes we'd find out right away. For everyone that fell, there was a follow-on mission where we would go out and go get some bad guys. All the grief and all the vengeance would never bring these guys back. They would want us to take a moment today and remember their sacrifice. They were good people. They were good Marines. They don't want us taking vengeance. They don't want us hating. They would want us to live life because they cannot. The very last death in the unit was after our deployment. Colonel Mark A. Smith, our battalion commander. You didn't know Mark or Colonel. He was a Marine's Marine and an awesome man. A lot of wisdom, loved his Marines, and he did his job. His mission was to train us and get us ready for the fight that was going to be. He did a hell of a job doing it. We didn't know it at the time when we stepped foot in country, but we were ready. He made sure of that. Colonel Mark Smith was a retired Indiana state trooper. Kept in contact with the families while we were overseas, updating them, usually through email when he could. When Mark got back, he was diagnosed with cancer. He was also a veteran of the Gulf War. Mark passed away March 29th, 2019. He'll always be remembered as a great Marine, a father figure, and a true warrior. The Army and the Navy never look on heaven's scenes. They'll find the streets are guarded by United States Marines. Till Valhalla, my brethren, we'll take it from here. You rest in peace. To all that did not make it back, we honor your sacrifice and service. We'll celebrate your life and never forget what you gave up for this country. Semper Fi. Thank you.
Wow. Semper Fi.